All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to break down something that's less about boring rules and way more about getting real results. It's called the King IV report, and honestly, it's a modern blueprint for what visionary leadership actually looks like.
So think about it. In a world that's just constant change, complexity, and, well, chaos, how do the best organizations manage to navigate it all? How do they not just survive, but actually thrive? That's the big question. And the answer, really, is good governance. Now, it is so easy to hear the word governance and just think of a bunch of stuffy, restrictive rules, right? But I love this metaphor. It's not about restriction, it's about control. It's about being in the saddle of this powerful, complex organization and having the skill to steer it exactly where it needs to go. And when you're in control of that ride, the payoffs are huge. We're talking about building real trust, which boosts stakeholder confidence and can literally lower your cost of capital. You end up creating organizations that are not just ethical, but are run so well that they create value that actually lasts. So, how do we get there? This is where the King IV report really comes in, and it represents a massive shift in thinking. It challenges all of us to move away from those old, rigid models and really embrace a smarter, more dynamic approach. Okay, this right here, this is the absolute heart of the King IV philosophy. It's all about outcomes-based governance. You can forget the old days of just ticking boxes on some compliance checklist. Instead, King IV asks a much more powerful question. Are the things we're doing actually creating the right results? It's all about the destination, not just following the map. And this little detail highlights the entire shift. It seems like a tiny change in language, from apply or explain to apply and explain, but believe me, the impact is massive. It's not good enough anymore to just follow a rule or make an excuse for why you didn't. Now you have to adopt the principles and you have to explain to the world how what you're doing leads to good governance. It's a total game changer for transparency.
Okay, so we get the philosophy. Now let's look at the simple but really powerful framework King IV uses to put all these ideas into practice.
The logic here is actually super clear and elegant. You can see it all on one page. It starts at the top, right, with the core responsibilities of the leadership. Then, those responsibilities are put into action through a set of principles, and every single thing is driving toward one essential goal, achieving clear, measurable outcomes. And that whole process rests on this really clear foundation. The governing body, the leadership, is ultimately responsible for just four things: setting the strategy, creating the right policy to get it done, providing constant oversight, and ensuring total accountability. Everything else flows from these four big duties.
And now we get to the why. Why do all of this work? Well, every single principle and practice inside King IV is designed to deliver four specific, tangible results. This is the whole point. This is the ultimate goal.
First, and you could argue it's the most important, is an ethical culture. And we're not talking about some mission statement that's framed on the wall. This is about building an organization that actually lives and breathes integrity, competence, responsibility, and fairness every single day.
Second, good performance. It's that simple. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the proof that the organization is hitting its strategic goals and creating real, sustainable value.
Third, there has to be effective control. You can think of this as the practical side of things. Having the right systems in place to manage risk, to monitor how things are going, and to make sure the organization is playing by all the rules, both legal and ethical.
And finally, the fourth outcome is legitimacy. This is all about reputation and trust. It's about earning the confidence of everyone, your customers, your employees, your investors, by being a responsible corporate citizen.
So when you pull all these pieces together, the responsibilities, the principles, and these four big outcomes, you get something that is so much more than a governance model. You get a real, powerful blueprint for leading with purpose and with vision. And this brings us back to something really fundamental. True leadership, whether it's out in nature or in a boardroom, is about leading from the front. It means you have to adapt to a changing world, you have to respect your environment, and you have to guide the way with strength. That's why King IV isn't just a compliance document, it's a guide to becoming that kind of leader.
There's that amazing quote often attributed to Nelson Mandela. Vision without action is merely daydreaming, but vision with action can change the world. And that, right there, is the soul of the King IV report. The vision is knowing those four outcomes you're aiming for. The action is using the principles to make it happen. King IV is the bridge between the two.
So, that brings us to a final question, something for you to think about.
Forget about the big corporate structures for just a minute. How can focusing on these outcomes, ethical culture, good performance, effective control, and legitimacy, transform not just some big company, but your own approach to leadership starting today?